Guys, new surveillance footage has recently come out into the mysterious death of college student Riley Strain. But does this confirm what we already know, or does this open things up for even more questions? All this and more in today's video. Hello, 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 and welcome to Alexa's Room, where we are not lawyers, we are not medical professionals, we are not law enforcement, we are just people who have opinions about all things going on in the true crime community, including what the heck is going on with the Riley Strain case. So if you are new to this case, a few months ago, college student, soon to be college graduate Riley Strain came out to downtown Nashville, like many young people do, including myself, to have a great time with his fraternity brothers, only for his trip to end in a horrible, horrible tragedy. Now, this new surveillance footage was released last week on July 12th. Riley Strain's parents have also hired a private investigator who recently completed his own private investigation. He hasn't made a whole lot of comments. This is the one article where he does go into a little bit in terms of what his own personal investigation, his findings. Other than that, he hasn't really made any public comments. So we're going to go into his analysis from a high level overview, how he conducted the investigation in a little bit. So first, I'm going to go through this article, then we'll play back the video. It's a really, really short clip of Riley being escorted of the Luke Bryan bar, which is the last place that his friends essentially saw him leave. We also have the other surveillance footage, which we have seen, which has been released to the public over the last couple of months throughout this investigation. So in terms of timeline, we're pretty crystal clear of essentially when the series of just tragic events took place. So I don't know if this clip necessarily helps just further solidify that timeline. If it does help support any potential theories of possible foul play, I don't really get it from this clip, but I'll let you guys be the judge. But first, let's dive into this article, the private investigator, which his family had hired, um, actually makes a comment about. So, new surveillance video is giving additional information from the Knight University in Missouri college student Riley Strain disappeared downtown. The Tennessee Alcohol Beverage Commission released hours of video that shows Strain and his friends at 4 different bars the evening of March 8th as the group enjoyed a trip to Nashville. Surveillance video from Luke Bryan's bar shows Riley Strain getting escorted down the stairs, which we will show in 1 second, after staffers said he had too much to drink. A licensed private investigator hired by Strain's family, Steve Fischer, told WZTV that one of Strain's friends tried to smooth things over but wasn't successful. So I'm assuming that he means with the bartender. Maybe things got a little bit heated. Maybe he was trying to argue with one of the bartenders. I haven't seen that from any of the footage that I have seen that's been released, but if you guys have heard or seen anything different, please let me know in the comment section below. But according to police documents exclusively obtained by WZTV, just before 10 p.m., almost the same time Strain's phone and Apple Watch lost reception, Metro Nashville police dash cam video captured a person that appears to be Strain standing beyond the concrete barriers at the wooden rail that is under the James Robertson Parkway Bridge. The timestamp on this video is 21:54 hours. Detectives go on to write they believe Strain crossed over the wooden guardrail, lost his balance, and fell off a ledge. Which, I'm not gonna lie, the first time I heard that, I was like, that is so wildly ridiculous to me because of where the Luke Bryan bar is located. And for those of you who aren't familiar, I just want to pull up a quick Google map, because he literally had to have walked in the exact opposite direction of where his hotel was. Which I can understand if you're intoxicated. Maybe you're also a little high. Apparently, there was some Delta 9 also found in a system, according to the toxicology report, that you can get easily turned around. I know I have a bunch of times, sober or not sober. So I think it's definitely possible. But as you can see just from the map, this is where Luke's bar is, which is pretty close to the Cumberland River where Riley's body was later found, except it wasn't found, I don't believe, around here. He actually walked all the way up here because this is where the James Robertson Parkway is. And actually along the river here, there's a park, there's also, like, a little walking trail that you can take as well too. I've never walked it personally, but it does look lovely during the daytime. It's a pretty active area, again, during the daytime, but at nighttime, the homeless scene um is pretty big over there, especially the further you get up the river, just in my own personal experience in driving around Nashville and now living here. So, what Riley would have had to have done is literally go the other way. And I think from certain surveillance camera footage too, you can see him making a right. And then he would have had to have walked up one of these streets. I know he hit Church Street at one point. He also hit Gay Street. So it's totally possible that he banked a right and he started walking up. Printer's Alley is also a pretty active hotspot as well too. I think they have a couple of speakeasy bars, so it's a pretty cool area over here. But you're definitely, I would say, if you're gonna get turned around, like, down the Broadway Strip is the best because there's just the most amount of people around there, and now, since I believe this case has happened, there's even more of a police presence there. So just to give you kind of an idea of what Nashville looks like. It's not really a grid like New York City, but it's also too, if you know where you're going, it's pretty easy to navigate. But if you're not from around here, you are intoxicated, especially to the point that Riley was. I think he was close to 3 times the legal limit, according to his toxicology report. That's a lot, and with the bright lights, the music, it's hard. It's not too hard to fathom that he would have gotten turned around. Now, how he ended up all the way down here, I don't know. How he ended up in the river, I don't know. I could buy that he slipped and fall, but I also don't know if there was anything more nefarious to that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. So let's get into this the rest of this article and then the video. So this is the interesting part with Steve Fischer, who was the private investigator that the Strain family had hired. So he says, while I agree with the vast majority of the MNPD report, I disagree that the water levels were so high on March 8th that Riley fell directly into the water. Interesting. So again, while I agree with the vast majority of the MNPD report, I disagree with that the water levels were so high on March 8th that Riley fell directly into the water, said Fisher, who said he had since reviewed the MNPD case file. I know there was some reports earlier on that Steve was having some trouble getting access to certain things. He since has reported, at least via Twitter, that X/Twitter, that wasn't the case. He's had nothing but full transparency from the Metro Police. So I mean, again, if this is the PI who's saying it, data from the USGS shows the banks of river peaked at 392 feet above NAVD on March 8th. I visited the river several times in May when the river banks were even higher at 395 feet. There was still at least 20 feet of land between the ledge Riley is believed to have fallen from and the river's edge. After viewing 6 of Strain's fraternity brothers, Fisher said the group looked for Strain after returning to the hotel and discovering he wasn't there. So again, they were staying at the Tempo by Hilton, not the other one that would have been towards the direction Riley was actually walking. And imagine if he had stumbled into the wrong Hilton, like how much would have changed? If he had just, I don't know, even walked into the wrong Hilton, maybe he would still be around today. So it's just so wild. They searched the waterfront and the surrounding area where he last pinged on his Snapchat app. The friends went to a police precinct in the morning and said they waited several hours. The group said they were then told to call 911 and waited several more hours to ultimately speak with an officer. I mean, that just tells me they probably were told you have to wait 48 hours, which is BS. We all know this, right? You don't have to wait 48 hours to report somebody missing, especially if you know that it's not in character for that person to just not respond. So kudos to his friends. I think it was reported too that his friends, waited to go out and look for him, but according to what the PI is saying after conducting these interviews, it seemed like the friends did try to do the best thing. And why they didn't go later that night, I mean, they were probably all intoxicated themselves too, and I'm not gonna again, even though I think overall if you go in a group, you should always stay with the group. I can understand, especially in downtown Nashville, being that I've been downtown Nashville and I really don't like it because it as a highly sensitive person, it's a lot. It's a lot for me. But I can understand it's hard. It's so easy to get lost in crowded bars, especially, during peak days. I don't know what day of the week March 8th was. Um Let's look at my calendar real quick. The 8th was a Friday, so the streets were closed down. Broadway is closed down from Fridays to Sundays, so no cars can get up and go up and down there traditionally. And it's generally packed, like Times Square packed, but like smaller because Nashville's significantly smaller than New York City is. So let's get into this actual surveillance video, and this is of Riley leaving the Luke Bryan bar getting escorted.
New tonight, new video from the night Missouri College student Riley Strain disappeared downtown. It shows that he and 4 friends at 4 different bars down in the district. Fox 17 News' Kelly Avellino now with the very latest on what became a national story that prompted change in Music City.
This surveillance video from Luke Bryan's bar shows Riley Strain getting escorted down the stairs after staffers say he had too much to drink. A private investigator hired by Strain's family says one of Strain's friends did try to smooth things over, but wasn't successful. Riley took off from outside the bar, his friends calling him as he stumbled in the wrong direction of their hotel. According to police documents exclusively obtained by Fox 17 News, just before 10 p.m., Metro Police dash cam video captured, quote, a person that appears to be Strain standing at the wooden rail under the James Robertson Parkway Bridge. Detectives write they believe Strain crossed over that wooden guardrail and lost his balance, falling off of a ledge. Detectives also believe the river was high enough that Strain fell directly into the water, then drowning. The autopsy also saying that alcohol poisoning was a cause of death. After interviewing 6 of Strain's friends, the private investigator confirmed that they did look for him by the waterfront after returning to the hotel, discovering he wasn't there.
Now, Riley Strain's death, because of that, city leaders drafted a riverfront safety plan that includes some better barriers and improved lighting. A nonprofit called the Red Frogs, which helps to make sure that impaired people get home safely after a night downtown, are also working to become a permanent fixture in downtown.
I mean, I think that's great because as somebody who now lives in Nashville and I could throw a rock and hit probably 10 bars within literally a stone's throw, the amount of people just on a day-to-day basis, Monday through Sunday, it doesn't stop 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to at least 2 in the morning. People are out. People are pretty obliterated most days, and I've even in my own area, I've seen an increased police presence, so I don't know if that's because of this case specifically or just the amount of people who are kind of reckless. And people think just because you're not drinking and driving doesn't mean that you still don't have to be aware of your surroundings. And of course, I'm not blaming Riley at all. I would never blame a victim. Like, this is just a horrible tragedy. And part of me, I don't know. Did he accidentally tumble? Did he fall? Did he try to hop that fence for whatever reason? For me, that's the biggest question in my brain. I don't know if I 100% buy that, but do I also think that there was foul play? I don't know. Maybe somebody pushed him. Um, why was his debit card found nowhere near his body? I just don't know. That being said, I want to get into the investigation that was done by the private investigator because according to that article, and he really hasn't left many comments publicly since completing his investigation, which he tweeted out last week that he completed, um, that it seems like he agrees overall with what the Metro Police Department had concluded with. Some of these cases, they're a little bit, I don't want to say more cut and dry. Even the ones that seem a little funky, it doesn't always mean that there is foul play. And this guy seems pretty legitimate. And the only thing that he seems to not agree with is the levels of water that the river was at that day. So I don't know what that means. Does it open up more questions? I'm sure that the family is not going to stop asking questions. Whether or not they're going to continue a private investigation, maybe hire another private investigator, I don't know. But this is what Steve Fischer had to say. And I think he tweeted this last week on, July 9th. So he says, I have completed my investigation into the tragic death of Riley Strain in Nashville, Tennessee on March 8th, 2024. The report I have uploaded to the family is 281 pages long, accompanied by a 49-minute video presentation containing important pieces of surveillance footage from the evening of March 8th. As this is the family's report, I cannot disclose my investigative determination or the report's contents. What the family chooses to do with that report, whether they agree with its contents or if they publicly comment on the report of the case, is entirely up to them. I have no control over these decisions. So again, without me speculating too much, it feels like from that comment alone that it kind of goes in line with what the Metro Police had originally concluded in their investigation. As shocking as it might sound and crazy, I mean, are there crazier things that could happen? I just don't know. However, there are a few general observations I can share regarding the investigation. These points are based on public information and are not detailed comments from the report, but are meant to help the public understand the context. General observations which are not a matter of public record. There is over 104 hours of surveillance video from more than 20 cameras. It's a lot of footage. Riley can be tracked throughout the entire evening from dinner until 9:58. This includes rooftop surveillance in downtown Nashville, where Riley is seen along his route without encountering anyone. No person approaches him and no vehicles approach him. Okay. 9:58. Riley is alone under the bridge. Two homeless individuals are seen more than 30 yards away, one in a wheelchair and asleep, the other not looking in Riley's direction. No vehicles are under the bridge except the police car that captured the image at 9:58 via the dash cam. So again, just like how we just saw in that video we just watched together. Initial witness reports were incorrect. So this is important, as is common in many cases. Yeah, I mean, witness testimony, how many times have we seen, not because they're trying to be shady, like in the Cumberland case, but sometimes because, again, it's just depending on who you're speaking to, especially in that area, like where a lot of people are drinking, they're out of town, they're having a good time, or, um, speaking to the homeless folk, maybe they weren't paying attention, etc. It's hard to always rely on witness testimony as being 100% accurate. It was a different individual who stumbled into the homeless encampment around 1:30 a.m., causing confusion. The homeless in the area were essentially told what time certain events happened, and they went along with the timeline, but it was an incorrect timeline, and that is proven by video surveillance. Okay, so there were some timeline issues as well too, and thank God for video cameras, right? What about the Ring camera in the Karen Reed case? God, everything would be just so much easier if we had that Ring camera footage, wouldn't we, guys, right? Riley is visible on the video the entire time inside bars, including when he is asked to leave. He is in a different area of the bar from his friends, except for one, and the group is unaware of what is happening. The friend who witnessed Riley being thrown out tried to defuse the situation, but was unsuccessful. Now, from the video we just saw, it didn't seem like things were super hostile. Riley actually seems being pretty conversational with the staff worker who is walking him out. I couldn't really gauge. I'm sure the employee who was escorting him out, the bouncer, the staff worker, whoever, whatever role he was probably like, "Oh, this drunk kid, like, I gotta deal with these guys all night." I couldn't really tell from his body language how he was reacting, but Riley definitely seemed to be very intoxicated, holding close to the rail, stumbling down the stairs. But he didn't seem to be hostile in that video, so I don't know if maybe he was getting a little hostile in the bar area above, and that's what led to him getting kicked out, or maybe he was just slurring his words too much, but he seemed to be pretty cooperative. So I'm curious to see what situation needed to be diffused, or maybe he spilled a drink on somebody and somebody looked at him the wrong. I don't know. But he seemed to be pretty friendly, at least from the video clip we just saw. So let me know what you think in the comment section. By the time this friend was able to get to the other side of the rooftop where the group is and inform the others, Riley was already outside the bar. But they didn't, but they did. So I wonder if this is a typo, but they did try to catch up to him, or they did not try to catch up to him. I'm assuming did not. Contrary to reports, Riley did not try to enter two other bars. He attempted to re-enter the Luke Bryan bar, but was denied entry. So then he talks about what his report is compromised of. So it seems like he talked to a lot of people, did his due diligence, brought in his own experts to confirm. I'm sure, hey, is it possible to drown without finding water in your lungs? Which, based on certain reports, it is possible in certain drowning cases. So again, it's just like more questions, but is it just a very tragic fatal accident? That is the biggest question. I waited until all other agencies completed their reports before releasing mine to the family. With so much data already released, the family may decide to read my report at this time. May not decide not to read my report, at this time. It is a lot of to rehash, and the accompanying video will undoubtedly be hard to watch. So I'm assuming he's talking about the 49-minute presentation. I can only imagine the amount of surveillance footage. I mean, there is already a lot of surveillance footage that's been released publicly. So I'm curious what other footage might be part of his presentation. We won't ever know unless the family comments on it or releases it to the public themselves. I have tried to be as thorough as possible to help provide them with some peace of mind. I also felt a responsibility to answer questions when I could, especially when the information I was releasing was already public or when I felt individuals were needlessly being hurt by misinformation. I know with 100% certainty that nobody intended to accuse or spread misinformation. Everything was done in the spirit of helping Riley and his family. If and when certain videos are released by the media or otherwise, I may comment. And I think this is only the first of many videos to come, potentially. For now, I extend my sincere condolences to Riley's family and friends. I learned that Riley was a remarkable young man with many people who loved him. I wish I could take away their pain. I honor them with love and wish them peace. This concludes my investigation. So, I mean, pretty cool stuff. It looks like he put a lot of thought, a lot of work into it. So, and he had another tweet too regarding a People magazine. This was actually a comment about people accusing him of leaking this information, and which I don't think he would do. Yeah, I have turned down all on-camera interviews regarding the Riley Strain case since concluding my investigation. I spoke on, yeah, so this was the article that we just read through, where he talks about the only thing he disagrees with is the level of water, the water levels. So I feel like that's pretty telling for me in terms of what the private investigator came back with. Now, whether or not the family is going to continue to investigate this privately, if there are other steps that they can take, from the way it's been reported and the way the evidence has been just kind of coming out more and more, it seems like it is just a really horrible, tragic accident, still mysterious nonetheless. And I think a big lesson needs to come out of all of this in terms of just when we are traveling in groups to just try to stick together as best as we can. It seems like the friends did the best that they could in that moment. Who knows how intoxicated they were as well too. Especially it seems like Riley was telling them like, "Hey, I'm just gonna go back to the hotel." I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I think it's just an important lesson for all of us and to be aware of our surroundings, regardless of how much we've had to drink or not. Being in any city, especially as a young person too, when you're not familiar with that city, it's just really important. And if you aren't sure of where you're going, especially in a place like Nashville, most people are pretty kind and nice. And go to the Boot Barn; they're pretty friendly over there. And you can always ask for help or directions. And um, yeah, I think this whole thing could have been easily avoided, and I really just don't know. It's one of those situations where I don't feel like there's any one person where you can point the blame at. I just think that it's something we just need to work harder on, just being more aware as individuals, taking care of our friends, trying to stay with our friends and stay in the pack that we went with. If it is the case that they didn't try and catch up with Riley after the fact, I hope that in the future they learn from that. But overall, it seems like this is just a tragic accident, and I hope that the city of Nashville, takes more things like this seriously, because I mean, every year there's more and more tourists that come here, more and more people that come visiting. And the more and more money that they put into placing more bars, the more they're going to have to deal with people who are going to be, caught maybe potentially in similar situations, and we just need to be careful. I think the Red Frogs group is a great movement, and I think if we can get more initiatives like that, not in just in Nashville, but in every city, in every town, then I think we can severely reduce, who knows, maybe the rate of missing persons, at least related in regards to, um, leaving a bar intoxicated. So, that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you like today's video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you never miss another video from me. Make sure you hit that like button, because that tells the YouTube algorithm that this is important news and it's newsworthy. And even though the case does seem closed, in the case of Riley Strain, it's still important. He's still a son, and he's still a friend. He's still an important person. He's still a human in a human life. And I think the more we can talk about these stories and get these stories out, the more it will help us improve, and put pressure on our local agencies to take this stuff seriously and take more action in terms of just making this a safer place for all of us to live in. So if you want to make a donation to the channel, you can do so via the Cash app. You can just scan it with your phone. If you leave a note, I will read your note at the end of every video and give you a little shout out. At the end of the day, I will take 20% of all proceeds that are donated to supporting this channel and donate it directly to the Karen Reed Defense Fund. Or if you feel more comfortable and you want to donate directly to it, I will leave the link in the description below. Okay, thanks so much guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.